disability which was discovered when I was around 6 by my teachers and parents put together. I was oblivious to the fact that I had a disability. I was only praying that, God, please do not let me wear glasses. Because I thought when I get married, a bride does not look good with glasses. That's a good enough excuse. So I was just praying, and my dream came true. I could see at that point a little bit. I've seen the sky, I've seen some clouds, I've seen some trees from far away, but I really couldn't see much. I walked into the unknown most of the time. My friends would just, leave me and run away. Either they would make fun, have fun at my expense, or they would just, say that we are not talking to her. Let her be. And I would cry and cry and cry and cry, and then my parents would intervene with my friends and tell them, no, you have to keep her along. And there I would go running away again with the children, again running into the unknown. From there, it's very difficult to put a long story into a short thing, but let me just step over the challenges. I was in a remote town of Agartala when this particular incident was discovered. Then we came back to Delhi. In Delhi, I was in Loreto Convent, Delhi Camps. I went to school there. There was no school for the visually impaired at that point. There was one very, very dilapidated school, which my parents thankfully did not put me into. But in class 8, I was thrown out of school, out of regular school, out of Loreto Convent, only on the pretext that I was visually impaired. And that literally broke my soul, because I lost touch with the world. I lost touch with the outside world. I was locked into my home, my parents and a younger brother. And I would just cry and cry and cry. So somehow my parents gave me a new dream. They said that, okay, if you can't do studies, blind people are supposed to be musicians. Well, certainly they planted this dream that you can win back your friends and dignity with learning music and becoming a world-renowned musician. So I chose the sitar, and after diligently practicing and learning to become a sitarist for 8 long years, I was told by my Guruji that I can never become a performing artist because I just don't have music in my head. So after 8 years of working at it, almost 8 hours every day, it's a difficult task, let me tell you. When every child is playing outside and having fun and growing up and doing all sorts of things, I would be just sitting with my sitar and playing. And then you get this news that you can never become a performing artist. I let go of my sitar there and then, went back into deep depression once again because one ray of hope in my life had disappeared. And from there on, it took me a long time again to really, think of that what to do next, because class 8, I never went back to studies because I had given up hope on the schooling. The terrible schooling system that we had that would throw out a child from a school system only because of vision impairment. And my eyesight was completely lost by the time I was 19, 20. And a new dream was planted in my mind that I was going to get married. I would get married. I looked all right. I looked okay. I was kind of good with my housework, and my mother taught me everything, and I was very good, with taking care of the house. So when the search for a husband started, apparently nobody wanted to marry me. With all due respect, there are a lot of gentlemen in this room here, and I would like to say that when you want to get married, everybody wanted to be my boyfriend, but nobody wanted to marry me. And probably I went through about more than I think hundreds of gentlemen, young men, and nobody was ready to marry me. And this time I vowed to myself that marry I will, and marry I will the man of my choice. So the hunt carried on. I did get married to a seemingly very wonderful human being. But as life would have it, I really wonder why, but now I know why. As life would have it, 2 hours into the wedding, I discovered that I had again fallen from the frying pan into the fire. I married the wrong man. He turned out to be an alcoholic, a compulsive liar. He left his job, moved into my parents' home, and started his abusive ways. And it was something that I was not ready to, I was just not prepared to handle. And I went into total depression and total shock. I remember my eyes never stopped watering for 5 long years. In the meantime, I gave birth to 2 beautiful children. They all tell me my children are beautiful. I have never really seen them. But they're beautiful children, they're wonderful kids. I have a daughter and a son. And now the burden had become so much, the life had become so burdenful that why am I living? So the thought of suicide, killing myself, was obviously the first thought that came into my mind. I did not have the courage to leave my children. The next thought that I got was, should I? And maybe how could I poison my children, kill them, and then die alongside? Well, that would also cost a lot of courage. And unfortunately or fortunately, luckily for all of us, we're still alive, and I was just not able to muster that courage to do such a dreadful task. Now, I had 2 choices in front of me: either to continue to, live a poor quality life along with my children, so that they grow up to be broken human beings, or do something about it. By the time I completed my class 10, and I went around thinking, it took me 2 years to think that what I should do, and then I suddenly hit upon this plan to become an aerobic instructor. And I forced Veena Merchant, maybe some of you may have heard her name. She came into Doordarshan with her program called Keep Fit. Have you? Has anybody heard about her? Yes, I'm sure you have. Because it was in 1987. And I kind of forced her into teaching me aerobics. She said, well, she came from the US, so she said that, look, Preeti, even in the US, we have never had a blind aerobic instructor, so I don't know how to train you. And well, I said, well, you just allow me in the class and I will help you to train me. So later on she says, or she always said to me, that only to get rid of you, get you out of my office, I said, okay, come tomorrow. So that was how I started. And then the first morning when I was there, within the first 5 minutes, I fainted in class because I had never done such activity in my life. And then she said, now, okay, Preeti, now you must go home. You're done with it. And I was so determined, I said, no, I am just not going anywhere. I just pushed everybody aside, stood up, and I have never looked back. I trained within 6 weeks. I started my aerobic classes in Delhi. And from there on, I went into teaching blind children aerobics because I discovered that the physical activity definitely helps a blind person in many ways, with the mind, with the senses, to become sharper and carry on with life. So I started teaching, and then I realized this amount of work that needs to be done, the amount of blind people who are suffering, it's a huge, huge task even today. From there on, then I moved into selling pickles because the organization, then I joined National Association for the Blind as their computer teacher. I learned computers. And thanks to the technology today available, the challenge was that technology was not there when I was growing up, but it's great now. From there on, because the money was too little, I had to earn I was a single mom. I was planning to be a single mom at that moment, so if I wanted to be a single mom, I had to earn a little bit more. So I started by selling pickles, and selling pickles, nobody would give me a job because I only could finish my class 10 from National Open School when I was 22. And that too, it was by force that you get some certification at least. So I did that, and from there on, I moved on to asking this company that, okay, you don't give me a job, but let me sell your pickles, freelance. So they agreed to this. It was Granny's Pickles that I started selling. And I went door to door. I did all kinds of activities. I have very little time, so please do let me know. I forgot to see how much time I've got, but I'll try to pack this all in quickly. So I started selling pickles, and after a month and a half, I gave back my collections back to the company. And next morning, I get a call from the managing director of this company. It was a very small marketing company, and they said the job of the marketing and sales head is waiting for you, madam. Please come, because my collection was double the collection of 5 sales representatives who were selling in Delhi. So they said, well, amazing, wow, so you come and take this job. And I joined the organization without having a clue to what to do next. So I just went with the flow. Whatever I thought was, I could do, I was doing. From there on, then I went into partnership with this company. Then somebody bid me out of some money. I had to leave from there. Then I went to another company. Again selling pickles. From there I moved into an NGO as fundraiser, because along the line I had lots of, collected some awards, just like you guys are doing now. I collected some awards, and due to that I got my next job. And in the process I filed for divorce. I separated from my husband. Though he threatened that he'll take the children away, I said, well, try. And fortunately, I really don't know how, but fortunately nothing really happened. It was an ex-party divorce that I got. And I was still bent upon finding a life partner. I hadn't given up, because I wanted a friend, I wanted a life partner who would be able to really be my friend, be my, be my support, and also I could also share somebody's life, and I continued to do. From there on, life was very interesting. I found a gentleman who was very wonderful. I thought he was a great guy, though he was 10 years younger to me, and he was not married. He was very young at that time. He was 27. I was just about reaching 37. And I thought that somebody is missing a good guy, so I just went up to him and asked him, how would you like? Would you like to marry me? And he was like, zap. But finally, cutting the long story short, we did get married, and I've been happily married for 18 years, and we are working together today. It's a wonderful shot again at achieving another of my dreams. From there, I moved into Dr. Shroff's Charity Eye Hospital, and as their public relations head of department, I wrote my autobiography just to inspire people. And on the flip side, I was continuously creating awareness amongst the society that disability does not mean inability. And I was training young girls, especially blind girls. They're the worst hit in the population. Nobody wants them, neither their families nor the organizations nor the society. And I decided to work for blind women with a complete focus to get them to respect themselves and learn to recognize their abilities and move forward. And now, currently, I'm running my own organization, which is called Silver Linings. And we say inspiring inclusion, fostering dignity. And we are working, Dream It, Do It, we are working with blind women. And today, I'm actually empty-handed. I'm trying to run a business. The money I earn from my corporate trainings goes towards our own needs, as well as trying to find funding for helping the visually impaired women and girls in this country, from sexual abuse right up to personality development, from security and providing residential spaces. These are our dreams. And one thing that I can guarantee you, and myself also, because I stand here very humbly, that definitely, when there is a will to do something, somehow the means come. There are great people out there, great organizations, great companies, great human beings, I'm sure, who are just looking for somebody like Silver Linings to help out, to do this particular work, to help us reach out to the blind women of India and make a great difference. I think I've run my 15 minutes.
Yes.
Yes, somebody can tell me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay. And